Hello there, and welcome to episode 2 of what I've just now decided to very cleverly call With Enough Prep Time. It's going to be maybe a weekly or 2 weekly, I work a lot, but 2 weekly comic book show where I talk about everything in, you know, comicdom. Where I'll talk about any topical issues that are rising now in the comic book world. So this I'm starting off with a series of videos which I think should be quite fun, which are the top 10 comic book rivalries of all time. Um, I've already done a previous video. I was planning to do this all in one video. However, my computer, the video keeps cutting me off for some reason, and I can only get about 5 to 6 minutes in. So I will go straight on to number 9 now of the top 10 comic book rivalries of all time. And my number 9 is Captain America and the Red Skull. So what makes this such a classic rivalry? Well, first off the bat, it's a good old-fashioned democratic values. USA saves the day versus the bloody evil moustache-twiddling Nazis. This is an interesting one. I think the thing about this one is, as soon as you see Captain America and you look at the iconography, the imagery of Captain America, and you try and work out, well, what could be the perfect foil for such a character? And then someone shows you an image of the Red Skull, and you're like, that is totally the guy. That is the guy who's going to mess with the good old boys, good old country boys' moral values. So let's look at Captain America. Who is Captain America, and what makes this such a great rivalry? So he's the clean-cut, all-American hero, started off as a wimp, but turned into the number one super soldier of the Allied forces via a super serum. Now, this is a great classic story of, the wimp, the nerd, who nonetheless has a big heart, a big unconquerable heart, and wishes to be a hero. And he's given the chance, and he becomes the best hero of them all. And this is about wish fulfillment. Every comic character or every comic reader, to some extent can relate to this. This is after all why we read comics. And Captain America is one of the greatest encapsulations of that particular concept. We wish behind it all that we were something greater. And then, let's have a look at who his villain is. The Red Skull, on the other hand, is a demonic occult member of the Nazis, a sadist with no moral compunction or conscience whatsoever, a man that possibly, within the comic book realms, is equal to the level of evil of the Führer, himself. He practically is Hitler. And just to top it off, he's evil enough being that. The guy's practically Hitler. The guy has a face that is scarred with red tissue and is shaped like a skull. That's pretty classic and strong imagery right there. So actually, he is the tragic victim as a boy of the very people he ends up fighting for. Red Skull was kidnapped, brainwashed, his family murdered by the Nazis before they began eugenics tests on him to make a super soldier. He did get peak human abilities, But as the experiment went wrong, he was forever scarred with this red tissued skull. Um, Now, one of the great ironies of this particular scenario, and I'm not sure if the comic writers of Captain America really pondered on this a while. I don't know if enough was known back then in America about the Nazis and their ideology, but certainly something that has become a great irony of this whole scenario is that in the comics, while Red Skull, the Nazis were trying to or attempting to create their perfect Superman, an Aryan Superman, um, who would show or demonstrate most powerfully the superiority of the Nazis over the rest of the world. It's actually the Americans who succeed in creating their perfect blonde-haired, blue-eyed, heroic symbol to the world in Captain America. So you look at the iconography of Captain America and the superhero, they most fit the mold of what the Nazis in reality were trying to create, which is a very, very peculiar coincidence or irony of this particular story. And though I should say is how disappointed I was with how the Red Skull was portrayed in the latest film. The latest film did not show in any way the potential of how great and maniacal and moustache twiddling a villain the Red Skull can be. Every bit as psychopathic as the Joker is. And really, really, I think probably one of the funnest characters to write with, just how far he can go. I mean, he's a Nazi, so you can get him to do anything. So that's one of the reasons I was very, very disappointed. Just to finish off, why have I not put the Red Skull and Captain America as number 8? Well, here's my issue. I think the Red Skull in reality must be fuming. Of all the arch enemies he could get, it had to be Mr. Least cool man on the planet. A boy scout of such immeasurable proportions, he makes Superman look like the freaking Fonz in comparison. The Red Skull, very, very cool, very, very iconic, great look for a villain. But when he has a hero who is so gooey and soft in the middle, and kind of sometimes makes you want to throw up from his moral goodness, you find, and it's kind of ironic, you end up finding yourself rooting for the Nazis to win, in the sense of you end up rooting for the Red Skull, meaning you have to worry. So Captain America is obviously great in his own way, but his main villain, the Red Skull, is just 50 billion times cooler than he is. I think if I were to make a list of the top 10 villains, the Red Skull would be right up there in, top 20. The Red Skull would be right up there. I'm not sure what position I put him in, but he'd be very close to the top. Whereas Captain America, on the other hand, not so sure about. But anyway, that's my reason for them not being number 8. And thank you very much.